Good morning. You guys hear me? You guys see me okay? We've changed a few things just briefly for the big day. Let me get this link out. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Anybody feeling a little hungover? I'm still using StreamYard as we're adjusting a whole bunch of stuff. We'll be back to live executions on Monday. In the meantime, we are blasting down. This is your daily zone. Right? So this is not anything structural, which means that this is liquidity and also this is liquidity. So that in reality, this blast could continue, assuming our 15-minute close is strong. This is pretty much your, that is an awful color. That's pretty much your area of interest. Now I expect to have something in here just because of the accumulation that was going on, but we are blasting down. We are blasting down. Who's coming to the big event today? At noon. Man, what a 15-minute drop. Times 2. 160 points. Nasty business, that. Almost manipulated that freedom model high. A decent little scalp there, and I think that would have been fair, right, for this to continue, but at least to that high. But honestly, sitting right above London lows, we're gonna level this up. We're gonna level this up. Those of you guys that are liking the freedom model and how it moves. Bitten by the Mongolian death worm. What does that even mean? Okay, so here's our daily area of interest. Still 944, so not really interested in this because this would be your 15-minute low and we would expect to at least take that. If we close here, we probably at least manipulate it. So there's no sense getting involved here in the 30s. In reality, there's no huge buying as well. We could bounce up to this structural area of interest, but we're not trying to catch tops or bottoms, right? Good morning, Astrophile. Good morning. So your 15-minute low coming in hot. Man, that was yeah, not gonna lie to you guys. That was something else. Right? Usually, even in the big ones, we used to do. Never really used to do it. We used to do a few TPT accounts, but we never did anything anything super crazy, right? I'm used to doing like 3, 4, maybe even 5 marbles, you know, and the 20s yesterday was a little intense. A little intense. We're right at the sort of measured move area of interest. I don't think this is going to cap anything, but even those of you guys that like to scalp and you're taking sort of strong closes or breaks, this is where you start to get into potential algorithmic buying, right? Now this, even if this does rally, I'm not going to go long here, but like if we rally at all, it'll just trade back up into this and then you probably drop, right? If you're looking at the entire zone like this, that was a pretty good attempt at trading back into the midpoint of that. You've got, this is their larger midpoint, but you would need an intermediate time frame failure. It's more that we're inside of a daily zone. Inside of a daily zone. You moved your stop loss to be a little tighter or what? 23,080. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think that statistically, this would have been an expectation, right? I think that this would have been an expectation to take this high. Usually we don't leave highs that occur between 9 and 920. Now, the caveat is that if we do leave it, we are running. Because there's too much interest lower or whatever other reason. And yesterday was a prime example of that. Prime example of that. We are flying, speaking of. Did you long picks or did you short? Yeah, so you're kind of looking at this CSD 930 blasted down. This is kind of, well, if we get caught up in that sort of, well, I mean, can you understand? Can I understand it? Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that, no, we're finally inside of this area of interest. This was extremely violent. And I mean, we opened like what, like here? Yeah, I think we go for this low at minimum. This is going to be an interesting one. I think that we might take this one, have a little bit of a relief, then take this one. But I'm not betting against this this rocket ship. This rocket ship. This was more sort of like I can understand this running this high, but even if it runs that high, like we're dying. Just based off of it being second distribution and lower. And we just kind of flip here as well. I think that, you know, the CSD, if we would have gotten some sort of a reaction, 100%. 100%. Oh, 930 just dump. And then it runs everybody out short. That's dirty. That's dirty. We ran the NFP candle high, and then we just distributed lower, pretty much. We went on. Mm-mm-mm. $9.51. Haven't taken any of the major lows yet. Let's see what we got to the left of us, shall we? Yeah, I think that one's the big one. We're inside of the wick right now. A lot of buying pressure that came in, but let's mark that out at 835. Yep. Oh my God. Oh. Come on, lads. There we go. We put in a valid low. Structurally, what you would expect is that this would trade back up into here, the difference being in a higher time frame movement. So you can either expect that we're either inside of a range, maybe we'll chop here for a bit, but I think the higher time frame is far too strong to be worried too much about these 1 minute valid lows. I would kind of want something a little bit more conclusive on the 5, and then you'd probably be looking for something like that would fail. Right? And you got your 15 that's still expanding to the downside. That's strong. You then make a valid high, which broke that low. Just not really looking for huge retracement longs here. You're looking for the weekly gap. You know, that's one thing I've never really studied is the weekly gap. I know it's something that very, very prevalent in the ICT community. I think it's got a lot of power to it as well. Just never really done that, but I think that very well could be charging for this right now. What, 582? What are we at? 870? Yeah, we could get some expansion. VIX is at 21, which is quite lovely. Quite lovely. Building an SNDR, I think that if we're going to run the daily low, you're looking at a pretty major SNDR, right? We've already achieved London lows. That's what you would expect since London traded below Asia. The daily objective's already done. We'll see what this goes on here. I think people will be looking to see, are we going to respect this? Actually go there, I think. Right, if we disrespect this, we're probably inside of a range, which we might even be because of this closure underneath that. And then we've got our 5-minute high, which is this one here. Right. I wouldn't be surprised if we tag that, and then we have to determine if we get this, and then we get some sort of a flip, then that would be a beautiful short to continue on with that low. You're talking building an SNDR for this low here. Don't know if that's I suppose it is. That will be your protected low of this hourly swing. So we might build a 5-minute SNDR there. Who's ever been hypnotized before? Hope you guys are all coming to the event, the last event of the anniversary. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be quite the experience. Those of you guys that haven't experienced NLP before. Every day by the markets, yeah. Yeah. Clever. Do we get this? Does it blast? Looking to see what happens from this 5. Probably having an inside candle on the 5-minute right now. There's your 15. Would be very surprised if we ended up going red to green on that. She's gonna be on at noon. She's going to be on at noon. Explains the different backdrop from what we usually have. One minute for your turn of your hour. One minute. Noon Eastern. Noon Eastern. $9.59. You got a new hourly coming in. 30 seconds. Do we dump and then rally? Do we rally then dump? We might have red folder news coming in here. Actually. Woo. There goes that first liquidity low. Yeah, I'm thinking lower too. I'm thinking lower too. Look at that gap. My goodness. Lower, 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 lower. Pretty sure that was red folder news. Yeah, manufacturing PMI. PMI. I knew it was NFP. Yep. I think that one falls. We're not seeing any sort of major reaction. I think that if we get some sort of, we would need a hell of an inversion here, then trading back in to rally, right? I'm not even really considering the long side until we get something very, very strong. The majority of the analysis that I'll do on the long side today will be more, okay, if we rally to here, then we just dump. That's pretty much it. Right, 779, your new target. And you're pretty much just able to trail your highs for these moves. Right, valid low probably sends us back up into here. Otherwise, we just continue on as we are. Already a 100-point drop from that last sort of chop at the 900s that we talked about. Massive volatility. Not betting against this in the slightest. Ooh, she's strong. Or violent, I should say. We'll know if she's strong pretty quick. See what happens with this high at 29s. There it goes. Yeah, I agree with you. This should trade up into the 60s, I think, but we'll find out. Pretty much. Pretty much do not bet against this until proven otherwise. Be interesting if we take this 10 a.m. high. Ooh, wow. Speaking of, I think this is not quite the midpoint of your daily zone, but we're getting a lot of buying pressure. We'll see what happens at this area here. We're getting that blip into maybe a reaction now. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Whipsaw. How many of you guys got a little bit settled into 15 VIX volatility? I'm break even at 870. I want to see what happens now. I want to see this blast through this low. I just took one off. Right? I don't like that low was 34.75 and we took it and now we're trading back up, which aligns with that low. I do like that we traded into the structural zone and we left. Right? So de-risking entirely. We left this hourly high at 80, right? That only traded to 79. So if this trades back up above this, then I'm flat. Violent movement, but not betting against yeah, I just took it out. I like using SMT. Usually I have this going on, where you have this, but I mainly look to see, well, I mean, SMT, I suppose, is by default, you're looking for divergences in price, right? But this to me looks like it's moving in tandem. We kind of went sideways. This actually didn't take the high here that did on ES, so this would have been a nice sell on ES. But that's basically all I look for is that. But I only trade in Q, for better or for worse. We've taken that hourly high. Figure out what we're going to do now. Which I wouldn't be surprised if we CSD'd this and then carried on lower. Woo. Took that hourly high, not displacing lower yet. We could lift really hard here, actually. There's your 5-minute candle, looking quite beautiful. We still got that 5-minute high all the way over here. Now this is violent. I think that if we do trade back down, we're trading back down to here. I still don't really trust this movement just yet. Squeeze in there. Here's your 15. So that aligns with your 15-minute high as well. If we get a movement down, that would be beautiful. Yeah, they are, aren't they? The 1 minute. I like that hourly high. I still have no problems with that short, right? This to me is at least a little bit of inducement. And then this movement we would expect if we're going to drop very, very hard, right? So I think we would want to see some sort of bearish movement come in. We then run this out. Then we move down, whether that movement down does this and we CSD and then trade back in, or if it just wants to drop, we'll have to play that by ear. Ooh. There's step one, if. Watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting. Oh, you took one here? Beautiful. Beautiful. We're going to find out what goes on this. $15-minute low. I think this is good. I don't want to see. You got $8.99. That only went to $9.02. Right now, that high was 28.5. This went to 28.75. One tick. One tick. But it means nothing if this doesn't get underneath here. if they're just going to support price. Now, this very well could just flip and trade back into this and then rocket as well. Right? We don't know if we're going to snap through here or not. We can determine that we would expect to snap through if the 15-minute wants to fail. But VIX above 20. Gonna find out quick. Otherwise, no shorts. I think there's an aggressive short to be had if this trades underneath here, but again, we're inside of our daily area of interest. We flipped on the 5 here technically, right? We're trying to determine whether this 15 minutes going to hold or we're just going to rocket ship. And I think if we rocket ship, that's going to be nasty. You can see it based off the hourly, right? So my short thesis is only if we can break. Right, we've got a structural area all the way up here, which we haven't tapped into yet. All right, so your flip might trade you back down to here, which will be the expectation, and then we might even run. And this is a nice little SMDR here to break above this high. We've got a new 15-minute candle, right? So we've got a lot of time for it to even manipulate and then die. This is a little bit tricky in terms of what it wants to do because of how much time. If this 15 closed above here, then we take a long, no questions asked, either on a tap back into this area or whatever. But the fact that it's a new 15, yes, it's expanding higher, but people will want to position themselves short against it as excuse me, as well. We'll see what goes on here. Good morning. You missed all kinds of fun. Right, so we look at this. This kind of expanded or trade back into the midpoint of it. This one, however, we've already disrespected the midpoint. Concerning for the bearish narrative of just dropping like a rock. So we'll see if we can get this trade all the way back up into here. Stalling here might sweep everybody out into this, and then we go. Yeah, not a lot of trades. I took a short. I was expecting a little bit more, and we didn't get that. This was like a first tap scalp, and then maybe this being the second one. Little surprised if this doesn't trade back into this SMDR and just goes. It'll leave without me if it does. Not too wild about taking longs up here, but waiting to see for a quality trade. Ooh. God, I'd love to short against that, but it's not in our area. Just because we haven't traded back down into here, if this ends up being a double top, it's going to be violently away, but can't do it, right? Because we haven't completed our objective yet. Wow, orders are speeding up. Ooh. Super fast. Careful, lads. That's a flip. But down to our SNDR, I think even if it does do short, I'm probably going to pass on it. Well, I would have loved if it tapped into there. I don't think it necessarily needs to because of the 15-minute or the higher time frame. I want to determine if this is going to fail at 10:22. We very well could manipulate higher. This is looking very, very dangerous, though. Right, so this is the area people want for long from the 5-minute time frame or the 15-minute valid low, but this could be very, very dangerous and drop, which I'm kind of expecting here. We'll see. Very strong push. Swept everybody out, which I didn't like the long in here. And now we can trade into this. Again, I think 10:30 is going to be a major short opportunity. Right? Your hourly is going to close. I think we'll at least trade back down into this. But not betting against it. Not betting against it at all. Oh. Did anybody grab that long? Or are you kind of waiting to short? I think that this was a little bit better, but we're kind of picking at hairs here. We're just delivering higher. Got a structural area of interest. We might even trade back into the 5 minute, this fractal in the 15, sorry. But I'm kind of hands off on this. I think that we're running people lower, running people higher. If we want to drop, or you might even get something like this for a larger move. How's the school looking? School's been doing really, really well. I posted a huge chart study for you guys on there yesterday. I would recommend all you guys looking at it. Les has a ton of psychology stuff on there, which we're going to be really focusing on and expanding on in August, I believe. Actually, I've got pretty sure. Yes, we had a little competition in July for the most active member. And it looks like, Sam, if you're here, it looks like you won one. Now, him in standard practice, we're doing so much on there that I'm thinking we might gotta do something for both of them. But Sam, I believe, won a free account. So we'll have to deal with that today as well. Finally, inside of our area of interest. Finally, inside of our area of interest. Did we have fun yesterday? This is wild. I haven't even really got the chance to chat about everything that's going on so far. But like, this is wild, PA. I love it. I'm here for all of it. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. We try quite a bit. You know, it's like I was thinking a lot yesterday about the last year. You know, I was thinking a lot about some of the guys that we had that are no longer with us. Some of them because they didn't resonate with my trading style, or I wasn't able to teach them properly, and others because I was able to teach them properly and they didn't need us anymore, which is kind of the end goal in a weird, ironic way, is to be able to educate so people don't need us anymore. And just kind of thinking about a lot of different guys, and then I started thinking about my educative trading style and sort of how that's sort of evolved over the year, right? And I used to throw so much information at people that it kind of made them second guess and paralyzed on their decision, right? Like, all I'm looking for right now, this could continue higher. I'm either looking for a movement back down to then get long, or I'm looking to short if we get a potential opportunity inside of this. And we very well might not, because we've got this area here and we're delivering from a daily zone, right? Like, we're already out of it. We tapped into the daily zone and we're bouncing. We've taken some liquidity, not all the liquidity that I wanted, right? That low was 803. We went down to 800 exactly. What do you think the chances are that we have a daily low of 800? Probably pretty low, right? The question becomes, whereabouts do we sell off from, if we're going to sell off? But which is why I'm so interested in short. Now, I think that 10:30, by the way, right? So here's your 5, there's your 15. Very possible that we just drop from here. We'll see. If we get a good reaction, then I might consider a short here, but still continuing higher from this 15 minutes so far. Whether it manipulates or not, who knows? We're going to find out. Wow. If this trades back to the open, then I'm hitting this. Okay. And this needs to flip. Otherwise, I'm going to take a small clap. Got to get under this candle at least 71s. That's a bullish candle, so it very well could sweep higher again and take me out, which would be annoying. Looking at about a 10-point stop, and there I go. Okay. It's going to be very dirty if it runs, but that is what it is. Didn't really want to be messing around if this continues higher and wants to try for that area or this 15-minute that we talked about. I thought the major selling from the 15-minute open would be a little bit more to be desired, but was not. I think that we will get some sell pressure that comes from this and then trades back down. What is that, 75s? Let it do its thing. I've been a little bit aggressive by nature in trading, right? We're just not getting the reactions that we want at all from these. As it just blasts higher, taking everybody else prisoner for the ride. Maybe it cleans it all up afterwards, who knows? But man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. What do we got here? Hello from Oklahoma. All right. What's going on, man? Yeah, yesterday's stream was intense. Yesterday's stream was intense. Sitting in this, watching and waiting it. I think the longs come out of this here, but these candles are wild. We're getting a lot of wicks as people are trying to short this. And I think they have pretty decent reason, but these are 30-point candles. Some of them are even more than that. That one's 25. This one, this massive one here is in the 40s. Whew. That's a flip. We'll see what happens here if it comes back down. We'll take this to about 8 a.m. or so, and then what we'll do is I'm going to get ready with Les for the psychology. Yes, I do. In this volatile environment, I would recommend trading at least five micros instead. But I mean, if you're looking at taking trades, let's say that that you wanted to go long in here somewhere. Let's say that we're long on. Okay, we broke above. Let's say we want to the midpoint of this, and we expect that. Now that didn't get tagged, but let's say hypothetically, right? If you're long there, then your stop goes, you got like a 25-point stop. It's taking a 1 mini on it. Taking 1 mini on it. You're risking $500. Now your profit target, I mean, yeah, you've got like $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever it ends up being for that idea. But you have to be able to risk accordingly. We usually start at 9:30 in the morning. A couple of aggressive shorts in here from me, but honestly, nothing that's been A+. Like this maybe, but even then, you've got these triple lows here. That's disgusting, right? Even that was a flip, and now we've come back in. We'll see. Do we trade back down to this 975 low? Possibly, right? We haven't quite hit our area of interest yet. We're kind of blasting up to it. Yeah, NQ is fun. NQ is fun. Did I take any positions today? I did. I took a few trades. I missed this long, if I'm honest. Short there. I took a short here when we got this consolidation that was going on, and then I did take an aggressive short. I took one. I believe I took it after the 15-minute. Yeah, I took it in here after that 15 inside of this zone, and that was a loss as well. So yeah, we very well could, right? I think we're fine. We finally achieved our objective from this zone of trading back down to the low of it. right? You got your 15-minute, which is chopping around here. I thought we were going to get a little bit more from 1030. And I thought that this was a potential if we continued higher, which we did. If we look at ES, right? ES hasn't traded back into that zone either. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit higher to go, but we'll see what ends up happening with this flip. We'll see what ends up happening with this flip, right? I will be looking for a short for this 800 low. I'd be very, very surprised if we left it a low of 800 even on the day, right? But we're determining what goes on here. I think if this closes, this 15 closes bearish, then I mean, this is a structural zone, but we've already kind of mitigated it. I think we've got those triple lows there, which is going to be a very clean target as well. So we'll see what goes on, right? So I wouldn't be surprised. If I was short, this would be a very clean area of interest to look for. I think that this trades back in and then the short occurs, but bouncing off of this low, not exactly ideal. And I want to see this 15-minute close bearish. If you're trading aggressively, I think this is a valid trade. I'm just not really wild about how we're delivering higher. Right, and I think if you are short, your stop has to be above this, and you expect at least this, right? And if this trades underneath, then we're break even. We don't want it sweeping, failing, coming back up to here. This should be finished business, equilibrium, and then done. And if it continues on and it evolves and we've got something that blasts lower, then cool, right? You're looking for at least the 40s. So what will InterTrade new info is provided? You've already set your TP and stop loss. Do you close or hold your setup? I personally close. I personally close, depending on what the information is, right? If I'm long for a 15-minute high, like I trade objective to objective. And then if you're swing trading, essentially you're expecting like pullbacks, right? Yeah, the 5, I mean, if you're trading off the 5-minute, then you're stopped out underneath the low. And away you go, right? And then essentially you're just long, and then your stops here, now your stops here, now your stops here, now your stops here, now your stops here. You're finally taken out, right? If you're looking for a parabolic move. If. Now, if you trade based off of the one, you go kind of objective to objective, and you're like, you know what, I like how this is moving. You're enduring these pullbacks. And then the challenge becomes, when do we shift from higher time frame bullish to higher time frame bearish movement, right? So it's not necessarily the pullbacks that make you adjust. You might have a target here or a target here, whatever the case may be. And then you have to determine where this is pulling back to or whereabouts your line in the sand is. It may very well like trade into this, and we still haven't taken this low, right? And if this takes me out, then it takes me out. But I can't like how I operate is I take the aggressive movement in after things shift. So we're bullish, 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 bullish. Yes, there was an aggressive short in here, but this is a confirmation short, which means that you put your stop here. This is your target. In reality, you probably got your 2 to 1 or whatever that is. Let's say from here, right? So this is our stop, and then our target's that. Is that 2 to 1's close, right? And then I don't expect, like I can't go break even necessarily, but given how violent this movement was, that's when I go break even because I don't want to see it push away now. This very well could still hit target. This very well could still hit our target. It's trading back into the midpoint. This is just doing us dirty, maybe, but that's the breaks. Usually what happens is when you get that flip, this movement should be violent. Because now we've finished with this area. It shouldn't have to return then. So that's when I usually go break even if I'm in second distribution. When you guys are looking at these kind of days, how many of you guys look at them and you go, well, I know what I should be doing. I know if I should be holding or I should be taking some off or I should be waiting or I should have executed here and I didn't pull the trigger or whatever. And you got different psychological issues. And you got if-then scenarios. It's not necessarily your system. Your system very well could have been this short or avoiding this short because we didn't take a 15-minute high or whatever the case may be. Right? That's the power of psychology. That's actually what we're doing today. We're fixing psychology. So make sure that you guys show up at noon. Make sure that you guys show up at noon. This is going to do us dirty and run right to target, and then probably even more so. That's a 5-minute sweep, trading lower. This is now looking really toppy on the 15. Here it goes. At least this 44 low. At least. And that would align with the midpoint of this. So you got good confluence there. I think that might even generate something like this. And then if we're going to drop back into this zone. Again, I'm still looking for this low here. There goes our low. Just have to run us out first. Okay. Them's the breaks. Yeah, and I mean, if there's strategical and structural reasons to avoid them, the difference is that you're at least making decisions, right? If you're like, you know what, I think this probably goes lower, and maybe it goes lower, or I think that you know, maybe like this goes up to here or whatever, or let's say even something even more egregious, like you're buying here and you're like, you know what, I think it goes higher, but we're sort of chopping around here at a 15-minute high and it's too risky for me. Then you're making decisions that, you know what, I think it does this, but that's not good enough for me and therefore I'm not involved. That's very, very different than I don't know what to do. Do we go up? Do we go down? Or I'm a little too scared of it going against me or whatever. And you're making emotional decisions. That's very, very different. That's very, very different. Isn't it? Right? But if you're waiting for a swing and then essentially, or not even a swing, but if you're waiting for something a little bit more than 20 points, then what you're doing is you're waiting for, well, first off, what you're doing is you're analyzing trend and you're looking at this being a higher time frame movement down. And it's a higher time frame movement down until we break this high and close above it on the 15, period. Right? So if you're trading with trend, that's what you're looking for, that 15-minute. Right? And then you need a flip. Now this flip, we talked about it. That first one, trading back into the SMDR, wasn't interested in that. Wasn't interested in that. We got our flip here, and now we're moving away. Now we're aligned with our 15-minute higher time frame move. Right? Now this one ended up stopping us out. Or not stopping us out, but like in reality, our stop should have been above. And this is where the benefit, I believe somebody was talking about it earlier. This is the benefit of setting it and forgetting it and letting it play out over time. If your short was, say, this, and your stop was not based off of price action, and I didn't get taken on break even, and you're looking for something like, I don't know, maybe we'd liquidate the SNDR, maybe your target's here, maybe you're even looking for the lows and you're like, let's go, right? That's a pretty good risk reward trade. And if you're right 1 out of 5 times, you're fine. But you have to be able to hold through, or at least deal with it not operating the exact way that you want, because you're trading based off of this. You're trading based off of this, not based off of what the 1 minute's doing. And that's where my style kind of has its drawbacks, where I'm so in tune with the price action that I don't like the possibility of this blasting higher, taking me out for a full stop and then moving, even though the trade is still valid from this. And you could even argue that this is a 1 minute flip back the other way. After we flip this way, then we flip this way, right? But again, we're using the 1 minute to determine what the 15-minute wants to do. Oh yeah. As it trades very close, or trades very close to my area, trades away and then back to my exact area, but I've sat out. Don't like to take that second move after our trading so close to my, yep. It's hard to trust these because they're selling the entire time. You can tell they're selling the entire time. So we wait for that flip. So we can, and by the way, like, we look at this we look at this and we're like, I don't care how high it goes. We're seeing attempts to reverse the trend. Cool. And now we're sort of looking at this, right? So there's your midpoint at 910, which aligns with your SNDR. So we're quite happy to miss, even if this long is 200 points. We want quality edge and direction, right? Quality edge and direction. Quality edge and direction. Who's sitting green right now? We good? We got about 3 minutes, and we'll cut this off at 8 or 11. Sorry for you Easterners. Again, this 800 low, you very well could get a movement out from this midpoint, which then trades higher. And I think that would be a very, very hard thing to deal with, because then you kind of got this intermediate time frame swing, right? And you would expect something like this. But because if this ends up here, essentially what we got is your AM move is like we're really dealing with this right now. And if we close above this line at noon, not 12:05, but if we close above at before 12, then essentially we're targeting these. And we're going to leave this 800 even low, which is insane. So we very well could run quickly, take that out, and then close up here and then blast these. Who knows? You get some sort of a TGIF thing. Who knows? That would be wild, right? I'm not betting against this right now, and this is sort of your dump. You got 2 minutes to see if we're going to hold this this 15 minute. I think we at least take this 15-minute low, which is it's actually this candle here at 9:05, and I think that that aligns with the midpoint of this swing too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we had some sort of liquidity grab into there, and if there's a reaction, then that might send us back up at minimum. Does it make sense to order flow even though I'm profitable with ICT? I mean, if you're swing trading ICT concepts, then you're not really concerned with order flow other than entry. You're more concerned with whereabouts the direction is, and then getting involved once we've shifted. Once we've shifted from bullish to bearish. For example, if we're looking at this and your target is this, then you're essentially waiting. Yeah, we've got a structural zone here, so this might be the area where you're targeting, going, okay, if we flip, it's going to come from this. It's going to come from this area here. And then you're just waiting. And you're hitting, maybe you're hitting the imbalance. I don't think there's a 5-minute imbalance or anything like that. Maybe you're looking at the 15-minute fair value gap, and you're looking for a response from this level here, which is 88.25. Right? So we swept and failed that here. Okay, so we trade back up into it. Cool. And then you're short here with a stop above the high. You don't care about how it delivers. Right? You don't care if it does flips and does whatever here, does a little dance, a little salsa, whatever, and then drops in a heartbeat. You don't care about that. You care about what's going on at the levels that you want. You're more of a level-to-level trader. right? And you use imbalances for entry or whatever else. So no, I probably wouldn't recommend a ton of order flow study. You might be able to hone your edge. You might be able to hone your edge with your entry based off of order flow, right? Our edge as a group is that, we look, and then as price evolves, we're like, you know what, if this doesn't fail here, right? Which doesn't mean we can't take trades expecting it to fail based off of everything that's going on, right? But then once it can't, then we know exactly where it's going. We want this, with the possibility that we traded even higher and we didn't get that, right? And then we determine what the reaction is away from it, and we know whereabouts it's going, right? We had this low here. This was nasty. Right? But we wanted that low. I mean, that's pretty glaringly obvious on the chart. You got triple lows here. We know the market loves liquidity, right? And now we've got this SNDR 15-minute low, which we've just hit. So our edge is our objective to objective to objective, and that's sort of what we trade. And then this just continues on until we essentially really break order flow, so on and so forth. I scalped in the N1 15 second, but many times I hit my key level and watch for my pattern, but the pattern can be fake because I don't see the absorption or delta. Okay. My personal advice, and take this with a grain of salt, right, is that we tend to have, I see a lot of traders have an edge. And they do well, right? And then they want to improve that edge, obviously, as we do. And then what ends up happening is we try and add things onto our chart to avoid losses. Or we say that there's things that we're missing and we need to add this. And then what ends up happening is we usually complicate things when we add too much. So I'd be very, very careful about adding things like indicators or other parts of a strategy to yours, right? Essentially what you're doing is you're working through the discretionary part of your system, right? I'd be cautious about adding, like people will take trend trades and then they'll add, okay, well, I'm profitable now, but now I got to add a MACD or a stochastic or something to give me a little bit more whatever. Or they add, and then all of a sudden they have 8 indicators in their chart, all telling them different things, and sometimes they're in conflict with each other or whatever else, right? I think that the discretionary part of the system, that's your growth. But the challenge with that is that you're looking and you've got to figure out what to practice, right? Because we don't just say practice. Let's not go to the field and kick a soccer ball around. Maybe we're juggling for 2 years, right? And say it's going to make us become a professional soccer player. You got to practice the right things too. So for me, what I did, right, is I'm looking at the area of interest. This is where I started from. So, okay, I've got structural area. Now I'm looking for a reaction. And that concept is like, okay, what does a reaction look like? Because there's a million and different ways that can occur, right? And I think the 2022 ICT mentorship would look for some sort of like a sweep here. Maybe there's SMT on ES. I don't know. I'm not going to look at the chart. But let's say there's SMT on ES. Well, now all of a sudden, you're pairing something structural that you can quantify alongside your analysis. So it's not really giving you tons of other things. And if that becomes, more prevalent in your trading, then all of a sudden it becomes part of your structural reasons where, you know what, we didn't get SMT here on ES, therefore I'm not hitting this. And this can go down as long as it wants. Doesn't matter to me because that's not part of my system, right? And you need a lot of data to quantify that. But let's say there was SMT and you've got sort of your imbalance here, and this is sort of your trade idea. Then this trade, essentially, you're looking for maybe this low. And you might have a particular thing where maybe you take some off at 1R and then you de-risked and you leave it. And then there's going to be benefits and drawbacks to that. And the benefit is that even if this takes you out, you don't care. And the drawback of doing the 1R thing where you go break even or whatever else is that you get these moves, but they happen however infrequently, you don't really care about them. Right? Yeah, and that's fair. So there's benefits and drawbacks, and that depends a lot on your personality itself and how comfortable you are in the position, which is very, very contextual. If this is rocketing up and then you get a flip, that's a different trade than if you're stair-stepping up the entire morning. Very different trade, right? Very, very different trade. Very, very different trade. So when you're looking at that, there's benefits. The benefit of going 1R, let's say we take this short and let's say that, like again, we'll put this up. So let's say 22 points and your target's 2R and that didn't quite get hit on this, right? But let's say you de-risked at 1R and there you go. Pretty much immediately 1R. Cool. So what's the benefit of going break even after 1R? You lock in your money. And then that's just over and over where you're taking either more trades or whatever, but you're expecting violent movements. And usually if you're taking this type of trade, contextually, you expect this movement to be violent. And if we're going to quantify that, let's say 75% of the time, you get a drop like this, which goes to your target. And you don't care if it runs up afterwards or not. That's irrelevant. What's the drawback of going 1R? The drawback is that if the movement doesn't happen how we want it to happen, then usually, not usually, sometimes we'll get taken out and then the movement will go. Now, today was actually covered both ways with that, or the 1R actually ended up looking silly. But anyway, my point is that as traders, what do? We usually look at the times where that system would have, if I would have just kept my stop where it was and not done anything and not been a fool or whatever else, then I'd still be in this, and that's pain. That's our framing of it, because it's painful. Right? But we don't see when that idea would have kept us safe. Shorting here, for example, inside a structural area that delivered lower. And we take 1R and then we get stopped out, break even, let's say, and then it goes on a rocket ship. Right? We usually don't see when that keeps us safe. We usually see when we've got pain associated with it. And that's what you guys are going to be learning later on today. You guys are going to be going deep. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. You've got sort of intermediate time frame 1, 2. This will be 3. Potentially even 4. And what did we talk about? We talked about this 50-minute low and the midpoint of this dealing range. Right? This very well could, like we've already flipped on the lower time frame. You're kind of getting this consolidation, right? I'm not liking how this 15 minutes work. And again, I'm kind of concerned about this 800 low. So I'm looking for sort of intermediate time frame movements, not necessarily these lower time frame flips that are occurring here. This to me, I'm kind of seeing as a flip just to trade back into this area. And then that becomes the midpoint. Right? I need something a little bit more. And I'm looking at how aggressive, where the aggressive movements were. This, yeah, you could argue that's aggressive. But I'm kind of looking at this tapped into this prior zone, delivered strongly from there. So I would expect to return to this fractal, and we did, and we sold off, at least so far. Wouldn't be surprised if we took that low. So hopefully that doesn't really throw your analysis all over the place. Post a couple of links if you guys aren't already in the Discord. Some of you guys are new. Yep. Yep, we still do that. We're doing a lot more here, and I'm kind of releasing a little bit more private videos for the group. It does look very lethargic, Pix. I agree. I'm not really sold on the short idea, but we'll see what goes on. Let's see what goes on. Right? And I mean, this move already obviously mid to the midpoint. So we go to this one. Did we trade to the midpoint of it? Pretty damn close. I would say that that's, very, very close. And then we're certainly in the midpoint now. So if we get a strong reaction from this, then I would be very cautious about longs. But yeah. Not a lot that I like about this. I like the shorts that came out of here. Those were good, at least for that 15-minute low. But now that objective is done, so we're kind of determining if we're going to start attacking this area of interest or not. Right? And I think if we get a closure underneath this, then we drop underneath that. We might have to wait for a new 15-minute candle, which is sweeping and closing bullish. Cool. But if this flips, I think then you're kind of looking. I think long should bail out of that if that happens, and then we target this low at 901 and then further. Do I have a link for the mentorship? Yeah, we operate on WAP. It goes into Discord, and then one sec. Ooh, not yet. I think it still goes, but we'll see. Need that confirmation. Ooh, here she goes. Did we get it? New 15-minute candle as well. So I'd like that one to close bearish. That'd be lovely. Okay, there you go. There's the link, by the way, those of you guys that were asking about it. Right, so you want to see this hold essentially. Wouldn't be surprised if we had something nasty go on with that. I don't like from the bullish side of that closed bearish. I think if this ends up respecting, if, yeah, you're looking at this. Fair enough. I like how we respected the midpoint of this one here. Again, I kind of wanted that 15-minute high, but if this imbalance doesn't respect, then I can't hit this short. Right? Doesn't mean that I think we're going to blast, but I just don't like how, as Pix was saying, very lethargic movement. We've taken an objective. I love how this flipped back, and I was expecting that for a short, but if not, then not involved. We'll see if we get a 15-minute sweep or what this wants to do. Got a decent little shelf here as well on the 5. Right, so there's your 5 and your 15-minute high. Be dirty if they end up sort of running this out and then running these lows. We shall see. And I can understand that people were taking this long off this 15-minute. I think that makes sense. I'm just concerned that like about that 9-8 or that 800 low even, but we trade what we see, right? So there's your midpoint and the 15-minute low coinciding with each other. So there's a decent movement that came up. But again, this movement is of a retracement nature until we break this high, which is your structural one. It's got to do that. If it can't, we're just going to retrace and sell off, retrace, sell off, retrace, sell off. Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful sweep. I love that. I love that a lot, right? But we're sort of identifying if this is going to be the final objective. And I think if it is, we've got to break a structural area of interest. We might not like how it delivers, but structurally, we're still bearish in this move until that snaps. All this CSD is telling us is that we're delivering a little bit higher, which we did. And then we flip back. So in retrospect, I don't like that in terms of how I get like an entry. This is now displacing underneath, respecting as it taps back up. This is violence. And we're probably looking for this low at 901, and then maybe even further than that, right? So we flip, whether we need this for an entry and we pass until here or not, right? This is still a bearish flip. We flip bullish, then we flip bearish, and then we trade it back up, and we couldn't take this high. You might pass on this, cool. That's within your guys' control. You don't have to short here at 34 or whatever. Some of you might be in from here, who knows? But at worst, keeps you out of trouble long. Keeps you out of trouble going long here and getting dropped. And that's not to suggest that we can't do something irregular and do this. Who knows? But I'm not looking long right now for sure, for everything that I just mentioned. Hit my target today. My mindset was you'll get what you want. Delayed gratification, it will happen. Patience pays. A lot of our guys find that they're actually becoming better people as well as better traders. Does that make sense? I think so. I think that You bring everything of a perfect mirror with you to the trading desk. If you're a patient person, it's probably pretty easy to be patient in the market. If you're an impatient person, you probably have a lot of trouble with the patience level. Look at this nonsense. Chopping around, right? Now that ended up taking that low. We'll still wait and see if this imbalance shakes out, right? We're still chopping around. We'll see if that respects, and then your stop goes above this high. Might not like this, and I don't blame you if you don't. But I'm avoiding longs, even if you're not short. I'm avoiding longs. Right? Leave the outcome to the chart. Trade your plan. Period. People obsess over outcome. People try and control the outcome. You control your edge. That's it. That's it. You're looking for 901s at minimum. Kicking and screaming? Maybe. Maybe. There's something to be said for if it's not a long, you don't go long. Doesn't mean you have to be short. But she always gets to where she needs to go. Eventually. Whether we like the delivery or not. Whew, say it with me. Were we too early? Are we too early? Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait and see. We'll do our those of you guys that are new to the channel don't really know yet, but those of you guys that have been around me for a while, we have a particular saying. Fair enough. Your job is to watch it then, right? Your job is to watch it then. It very well could blast up. The market can do anything at any given point in time. We have an edge based off of our direction and our objectives. Now, order flow is one thing differently, right? If this candle ended up being bullish, then maybe, right? Maybe. But what's going to end up happening is, first off, we need to take this low at 907s, which we just did. Nope, sorry, we haven't done that yet. My mistake. There's going to be some liquidity underneath that bullish candle. Right? Now, if you're taking it off from an emotional reasons, that's different than if you're taking it off for structural reasons. right? There's that low, and then 15-minute low, 905s. You want to see how this reacts from that 15-minute top again? Right? Getting a lot of pushback. You don't want this to flip. That would be a structural reason of exiting. Not a sweep. It's got to flip. And when you would expect this movement to continue is when we have a higher time frame reason going down, not just this low. This might be our little target. Now we're identifying how this is delivering. Right? You see that we're kind of doing these outside candles, which is wild. If this one's an inside candle, that's a bit of a reversal pattern. So we'll see what goes on there. Three and a half minutes until the next 15-minute candle opens. Gross chop. Yep, absolutely. Right? Gross chop. Oh, yeah. It might have to wait 3 minutes, but she will. And then you'll hear a resounding in the chat. We'll see what goes on here. And this is why I don't use ICT CSD levels, by the way. I trade a lot more objective to objective, not looking at this as if it flipped bullish here. Look at the 15 second. Look at the 1 minute. It looks ugly. Look at the 5. Never mind the 15 second. Never mind the 15 second. $7.25. Yuck. Oh yeah. Everybody getting along in here for sure. I think this is not what they want to see from a rally. These two bearish candles here. Yeah, I would be highly unlikely that it trades back up into here for those shove down. We're dealing with this fractal right here. It's not behaving as nice as we'd like. You might get a new 15-minute movement, but I think they're just scaling in, and you're seeing what's going on because our draw is lower, right? So all these rallies just getting stuffed. 475s. There we go. Who could have predicted this? All right. We're going to call it here, let's. Those of you guys that held on to that, you very well could go a little bit lower. Very well could. But I think this was nasty. It wasn't until we sort of respected it here that you were really away to the races, and then it was just a matter of holding to your target and then potentially even lower. I'd be a little concerned about this low, but boom. Boom, boom, boom. Who grabbed that short? You got a new 15-minute coming in 5 seconds. Hopefully nobody's sitting long. You very well could just get a dump. We'll see. Right? We're now closed underneath that, creating a valid high on the 15. Beauty, Nisnos. Chickened out. Fair enough. At least you're making the decision, right? This is not beautiful delivery, as it's of a higher time frame, right? Those 15 minutes were sideways, and now we see what goes on here. All right, noon. We'll post the link in our Discord for the Zoom meeting with Les. If you guys aren't in our Discord already, there it is. We'll see you guys later. We'll do back testing over the weekend. And those of you guys that are in the school community, there'll be some other posts that go on this weekend as well. Hopefully you guys ended up good, and we will chat with you guys soon. Bye-bye.